What's going on, everybody? My name is Baloo and welcome to the jungle. This is the channel where we take a very simple approach to technical analysis. We look at the price in the context of volume using the Wyckoff method. And if that's the sort of thing that tickles your fancy, then why don't you hit the subscribe button? I do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think on the last stream I said I did it on Thursday, so that was a mistake. All right, so we're going to talk about Bitcoin. You know, the space moves with Bitcoin. We are not decorrelated from Bitcoin in any way, shape, or form. So, you know, when there is a dip, what are we doing? We're trying to find support. We are trying to confirm where the support is being built, and that takes time. It takes at least 48 hours before you can really confirm that support has been built. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a little bit of the structure here. Short term could be bearish. We're going to discuss, you know, what types of things to look for and how we can probably prepare ourselves with certain instruments like futures contracts. I did enter a 1x short position as a hedge against my main portfolio holdings, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. All right, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the charts. So we are here taking a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the 12-hour. So we have been inside of this ascending channel for a very long time. We had our shakeout. You know, we overtook the SR flip back here at the original buyer's climax for this consolidation. Everything was looking tickety-boo. It looked like we were going to head up to our tentative target of $74,000. We came down for a test of support. That support did not hold, and as a result, we had a pretty substantial move to the downside. It looks like 11% move for the open to the close on Bitcoin on that 12-hour candle. So we did get bought up and we held our previous level of support. So that is tentatively good. We are looking at a little bit of a bearish test here in this area on the lower end of the channel. So we're going to kind of dive in and take a look at what's going on. Now, typically when you have these dip days, the most severe move is the first one. 9 times out of 10, well, I don't know the actual statistics on it, but more often than not, the dip in a bull market is just one dip. Sometimes you get two, so you do have to prepare for that second dip, but more often than not, it's just a simple correction down to the previous level of support, rebuild confidence in the market on those support levels, and then continue to rally upwards. We are in a bull market. We have not broken market structure. Things are looking good. All of the closes from the previous day were bullish closes at a higher low. So there's nothing really to panic about just yet. But let's go ahead and dive in a little bit closer on this consolidation and take a look at some of the localized price structure. So let me just drop down to the 1 hour here. So basically, you know, we started to create a little bit of a bearish formation in the candle structure. Now, typically, a good, not rule of thumb, but something that I have observed, and I'm sure a lot of you have also observed, is kind of the formation of the rallies and the reactions. Typically, when you have a rally that is weak and loses momentum and falls off, it's a bearish structure. Whereas when you have one that sells off quickly and begins to rally on a curve, kind of creating like a W or a U pattern, those are typically bullish structures. So when we're looking at the localized structure on the small time frames, you could see we were bullish in here. You know, then we kind of had a little bit of a sideways trading distributional environment, and then we started to have the bearish tests where we curl over and make those M formations. So, you know, a localized trend, the trend is your friend. We're looking for support. The way that we are able to determine support is if we can hold a previous low at an equal low or a higher low. So we're waiting for that data to come in. If we break through this level, which was the previous low, if we break through this level, we're going to take another leg down. And then we have to repeat the whole process over again, lather, rinse, repeat until we can kind of develop those support levels. So as it stands right now, I am macro bullish on the environment. I think that cryptocurrency is not done yet. You know, a lot of people are thinking, you know, could the bear market start at this point? If it does, it's going to be unlike any cycle that we've ever seen. Sure, institutional players are in the game right now, but the institutions are here to make money just as much as you are. So I don't think we've reached those types of levels where the institutions are really looking to offload a lot of their Bitcoin into the strength of the market. Basically, how I'm playing this is we have not reached the mania phase. A lot of the newer investors are in the space. You are kind of savvy investors as far as this cycle is concerned. When we get to the mania phase, kind of mimicking what happened in 2017, you get a lot of people coming in and they don't care anything about the fundamentals. They just feel as though they're missing out on the opportunities. They don't care about the fundamentals or why they're buying it. They just feel that if they buy it, it's going to go up in price. There's a little bit of that, but I don't think we've reached the mania phase just yet. So yeah, these tentative support levels are what we're looking to build. Now, what I have done in preparation for the potential for more downside is I have hedged. So for those who are kind of new to futures contracts are not just a tool for degenerates to make, bets with high leverage. They're actually a tool that was brought into traditional finance to allow hedge funds and large net worth individuals hedge their risk, by trading these contracts. And I took a decision right when we were looking at this move right here. We were trying to overcome this kind of localized support level. So we were sitting here, this is where we reacted to, and then we had a little bit of a break. It was unable to hold. So when we were unable to hold, I hedged about 10% of my Bitcoin position into a 1x short contract. And what that does is that basically just locks in the price. So at the price, I think I hedged in at about 55.5, something like that. So it basically allows you to lock in the price. So what is the difference between a 1x short contract and just selling some of the position? Well, for me, selling a portion of the position is commitment to a direction. If I am selling the position, I am committing that there is more downside. Whereas a 1x short in the form of a hedge against your main portfolio is you just submitting that you don't know. And you're willing to pay a little bit of a premium for that kind of insurance policy that you don't know the direction. So you're just kind of hedging your bets against what the short-term volatility could bring. So I do have a stop loss on this one at the break of this high right here. So if we do start to rally beyond this, I think that we can kind of determine that support is being built. I no longer need that insurance policy, so I will be stopped out of my short position and we can just carry on our merry way. And I have my full spot position intact with having to pay like a very small insurance premium basically. Now if it goes down, I get to make a little bit of money on the downside and limit some of the volatility. So it's kind of it's a very interesting tool. If you don't have access to leverage, well, Bitcoin does have options for you. So for the I'm more so speaking to the Americans and some other countries like Singapore, where a lot of these futures contracts are not available. The CME is available, so you can hedge with CME futures contracts. I haven't gotten hands on with that because I am Canadian, so I do have access to these leveraged instruments. But if you're kind of wanting to know, leverage isn't just for the degenerates. It is a way for you to kind of hedge your portfolio and manage downside volatility. So that's what I've decided to do this morning. If it goes down, great. If it goes up, great, because I was able to pay for that insurance. So okay, so let's go ahead. We'll touch on a few altcoins, but honestly, when the market is in these types of conditions, really your focus needs to go on Bitcoin. You should kind of hold any bullish ideas, just hold them aside. Unless you're a spot buyer and you're holding long term, buying these violent moves can be very good opportunities for you to kind of get into some of these spot positions. But Bitcoin does rule the space. So when Bitcoin moves, the altcoins move harder. So understanding that correlation is really important. So yeah, we're going to kind of talk about, well, let's look at Ethereum. We'll look at Ethereum. So Ethereum, its structure is not nearly as good, but we are coming down to this area of support. So we're going to want to see if this level continues to build. So let's take a look at the RSI. We got very oversold on the RSI here on the 1 hour. 1 hour, take it with a grain of salt. But anyways, so we have these 3 points that we're trying to build here. I'm just going to draw a parallel channel on this. So from the bottom of this seller's climax, I'm just going to draw a straight line across up to the automatic rally. We're range bound in here. If we can remain range bound, we're bullish. If we start to break down to lower levels, we break down to lower levels, and we need to kind of take things level by level and understand that you know, the trend is your friend, and don't try and trade against the trend. Do I buy these types of dips? Yes. That's the thing about the bull market is, you know, you can buy these dips as long as the macro is in a upwards trend. You can buy these dips. Does it mean that you're going to not have to suffer another dip? No, of course not. There is no crystal ball, but typically it's one dip, and if it's a really bad dip, it's two in a bull market. But yeah, the trend is your friend on that one. And if you're spot buying, you have a lot more flexibility inside of the space. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so I'm going to catch up with the chat a little bit here. Let me just see what we got here. So Corium, what to expect from the 1 inch volume? Sure, I'll pull up 1 inch, but again, you know, I'm not really focusing too much on the altcoins right now, because it's about collecting information, collecting data right now. But we'll take a look at the structure and kind of determine where some of these support levels are going to be, and we can kind of discuss that a little bit further. But let me catch up on the chat a little bit more here. I hope this is the biggest altcoin season. I really want to leave my wife for someone younger. Okay, well, that's an interesting comment. I do think that this market is certainly not over. Now, that is just my own opinion based on previous cycles and based on market psychology of investors. You know, there's an ebb and flow to these markets. People kind of FOMO in at the very later ends of these cycles. People don't really understand how investing works. They don't understand that a lot of the big institutional investors, they took their positions at much lower levels. And when we get to those hyperbolic, you know, tops where everybody is jumping into this thing, that's when they start to offload some of their holdings. A prime example, a beautiful example of that is actually what's going on with Dogecoin. So if you didn't already check it out, if you're following me on YouTube, go and check out the video I made about Dogecoin, and it really dives into the theory and how the effects of the composite operator can affect the token supply, and basically why it's pumping, and it will probably continue to pump until this one whale, this one institutional, this one composite man begins to offload the supply. So be aware of that sort of thing. But yeah, the altcoin season, I think we're just getting going. This might be a minor blip in the road, and we may have to experience a drawdown, but macro perspective, I think the space was getting really frothy. There was a lot of euphoria on Twitter, and when people start to get euphoric, you know, they over leverage themselves. And when they over leverage themselves, they leave their positions open to liquidations. And when everybody liquidates at the same time, you have these corrections. It's just part of the cycle. It's part of the human psychology and how these market cycles work. So it's nothing really to fear. It's just kind of the conclusion that yes, everybody was too bullish. Yes, everybody was over leveraged, and it didn't take much to liquidate this chain reaction effect to the downside. When will alts be independent from BTC? Not for a while, in my opinion. Not for a while. Buy the dip. Yeah, I agree. If you're a spot buyer, you know, these dips are great to buy. We're still macro bullish. We may, again, take a drawdown, but I'm confident, or I feel that the sentiment in the space hasn't reached its pinnacle of you know, mania. I don't think we've reached the mania phase. Okay, missed a short position, busy on work, hardly. Goodness, I don't have nothing in hold on spot. Okay, so you're just trading all futures. You know, futures for me is a tool of kind of not touching my spot positions. Spot, you can't just trade all futures. It's really risky. I hear it a lot. People say, well, I have to use futures contracts because my account is so small. I can't really make money without using these leveraged instruments. These liquidations can really, really hurt you. What coin were we looking at? There was one coin, geez, what was it? Anyways, one coin traded down to zero on that crash. Traded down to zero. If you're in futures contracts on that coin, you're liquidated. There's no stop loss, there's no TA, there's no nothing that could have, well, I guess a stop loss would have protected you, but there's nothing that would have protected you on that position. And you would have likely been liquidated if you didn't have a stop or some other form of risk management. Listen, spot markets should not be ignored. There is a lot of safety in the ability for you to control your emotions. And the easiest way for you to control your emotions is to not over leverage yourself. Don't over leverage yourself. You know, that's where all of this emotion comes from. So if you're trading only futures contracts, really kind of write everything down and see how profitable you actually are. Because I think that if you had just taken those positions in spot markets and held, you might find that you actually would have performed better. At least that has been my experience in these markets. Crypto's volatile, man. It's really hard to hold on to these futures contracts. Yeah, Moonshadow, thank you. Smash the like button, guys. If you enjoyed this content, give it a like. Really helps out the algorithm, helps for new discovery. And if you are just finding me on Twitch, hey, follow me. There seems to be sell-offs as you stream. I'm getting a lot of notification, 10% drops across some assets. Yeah, we're having, it's a down day. You know, there's uncertainty, and when people are uncertain, they start to hedge, and you know, myself included. And so there's short buying out, there's short selling out there, and there's a lot of pressure being applied to the downside currently. TradingView keeps deleting hours of work. Oh man, that's frustrating. Are you do you have a premium account? Because I think if you don't have a premium account, it doesn't save your chart layouts. If you don't have a premium account, I think I'm linked down below. Go ahead and sign up with me. Help a brother out. Successful, what's going on, man? Yeah, check out the Discord. So we do have a free Discord. What I specialize in is the Wyckoff method. The Wyckoff method basically analyzes an asset within a trading range, and it determines strength of an asset within a defined trading range. So when we're looking at a asset like 1 inch, you know, we're kind of inside of this trading range. We were a little overbought at times, we were a little oversold at times, but we're determining the strength throughout the range to determine, is supply in control or is demand in control. You'll notice with my volume is all the same color. That's because volume is volume. It's not buying volume and there's not selling volume. It's mixed. So we're trying to determine, based on this volume, what we think is in control. And at that point where demand seems to be the dominant force, and we can match that up with the price action for higher levels, it's typically a good time to get long on that asset and ride the markup event, because that's usually how it goes. We go up, we consolidate, we go up, we consolidate. So you want to get in on those consolidations after confirmation of good, solid demand coming and taking over. Where do I start? Like, what website? Okay, so if you are wanting to join VIP, I do have, if you're on Twitch, which you are on Twitch, go to the About Me section, and you can see that I have the Crypto Jungle linked. If you can't find it, just go to thecryptojungle.com, sign up for VIP, and we'll get you in the Discord right away, and you can come and see some of these profitable setups and a lot of the educational material as well. So immediately after these streams, what I do in VIP is I go through a virtual classroom. So we look at your charts, we talk strategy, we talk about possible entry points, we talk about how you're going to kind of take profits, how you're going to limit your risk, and if your analysis is correct. So if you're wanting to really kind of get ahead of the herd, you know, this bull market is going to continue, in my opinion. So you do want to kind of have a lot of that education and a lot of those backbone skills developed now before the herd comes in, because when they come in, you're going to really be able to capitalize on their, you know, short-sighted, get rich quick kind of mentality. So spending the time now to educate yourself can be very advantageous, and you will not only make money, but you will learn to keep it as well. Because I'm sure a lot of those who were around at the previous cycle at 2017, you watched your portfolio grow incredibly. A lot of you probably made a fortune, and if you held, you lost that fortune. So it's not just enough to be in the right assets. You do have to be able to, you do need to develop a strategy so that you can realize some of those gains and improve your life. Actually, you know, take those gains and make your life better. There's no shame in taking profits too early if it betters your life. And that's kind of, you know, the mindset that we have on my Discord. Just catching up with the chat. Check out CRV. Sure, we'll take a look at CRV. What do I think will cause the herd to FOMO in? Bitcoin above 100K. That's what I think is going to be the big psychological factor in this cycle. You know, we're going to encounter resistance at 100K. CNBC, all the news media, all the trading stuff, it's going to be like Bitcoin hit 100K and then retrace down to like 70 or 80 or whatever the case may be. And they're going to say that it's over. What's going to really cause the mania to set in is Bitcoin is, in my opinion, going to overtake those levels. And if we do overtake those levels, it's not going to be a gentle rise. It's going to be something that's really going to make the world think that something is changing here. And that's going to cause the mania phase, in my opinion. And Bitcoin, for a lot of new investors, will be too expensive. So they will turn to the altcoins expecting the same returns or similar returns. Is FTX better than Binance for futures? I do believe so, yes. So what's nice about FTX is you can actually kind of get loans against your portfolio as a whole. So there is a basket of assets that they collect on that. So when you fill your spot portfolio, you can actually borrow against your portfolio much easier than you can do with Binance futures. Binance futures, it's a few assets. You have to put it and you have to lock it into their Binance futures account, the futures wallet, whereas FTX, it's just really seamless. I really, you know, I was stubborn for a long time and I don't like setting up new accounts. I like to keep things simple. And it took me a long time to get on FTX. And when I got on, I just didn't know what I was waiting for. It's a really professional website with, it's just a really well done exchange for whole portfolio management. It's kind of a hybrid site. So it's not just one or the other. I like it. I like it. Links below if you're interested. Okay. Yeah, if you're wanting to get into the Discord, you're going to want to do that sooner rather than later. There is going to be some, you know, we have a lot of people joining the Discord now, and with that is coming a lot of spam. So we're trying to kind of moderate what's going on in the Discord. So there are going to be some measures that go into play. So if you're on the fence, I mean, there's nothing, just join the Discord. Join the Discord before the changes come would be my recommendation. Missed Ethereum. I don't think you missed Ethereum. I think Ethereum is just getting going. All right, I'll catch up with the chat. I'll catch up with the chat in a second here. Let's get through some of these coins. So 1 inch, it's not committing. You know, we had a lot of supply come out here. You know, this could be interpreted as demand. We were unable to hold this level. You know, Bitcoin kind of ruined the party for a lot of this. So we're gonna have to reclaim some of these levels. So until we can get above this trading range right here, I think I'm short-term bearish on 1 inch, but again, it's really short-term. You do you, and you kind of determine how you want to handle your portfolio. Are you buying contracts? Are you buying spot? We are sitting at the level of the previous breakout, so that's a good sign. If we take a look at the RSI, you know, we're getting to kind of oversold conditions. Not much of a divergence or anything, but yeah, just we need to pay attention to Bitcoin. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but yeah, we just need to pay attention to Bitcoin. It was Ren, yes, successful. It was Ren. It almost traded down to zero, 98% down on the wick on Ren. Insanity. If you were holding contracts on Ren, my apologies, my condolences. Just terrible, terrible. Okay, or if you had ridiculous buy orders on Ren, congratulations. Okay, so we were looking at 1 inch. There was another one. I forget what it is. Yeah, let's quickly take a look at Ren. Ren was insane. Did they even correct it? It might have been on a different, let's go. CRV, that's what it is. CRV. Ren USD. Let's go with Binance. I don't know what exchange it was. Loniax. I don't know. I can't remember what exchange it was, but yeah, Ren wicked down to nearly $0, which is insane. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at CRV, Curve DAO Protocol. Yeah, brutal. Everything took a hit today, you know, everything took a hit, or yesterday rather. And we're holding this support. So I guess I had this trend line of support. We were able to buy back in. So things are looking good. You know, I don't want to freak anybody out when I say that I shorted Bitcoin. It's a hedge. So I'm paying for insurance. I am long this market. I am bullish this market. My you know, spot buys on these assets are to the long side. I just wanted to hedge some of the volatility and was willing to pay a small price for me to have that luxury. I don't want anybody to freak out that I shorted, okay? I still think we're macro bullish. So this level's holding currently. It looks like it's holding nicely on the 40 level. That's kind of a good level to be in to continue upwards trend. We need to overtake this level. So large cup and handle on this formation of CRV. Once we overtake this level, I think it's going to be off to the races. These cup and handle formations, which are showing up everywhere, by the way, are one of the most profitable setups that I've encountered. I really like cup and handles. They take a while to get going. Don't get me wrong. You know, they take a while to get going, but it's one of the biggest confirmations. They usually perform well, in my experience. Take a while to get going, but they perform well. So cup and handle on CRV looking good. We need to overtake this level, find support. It may even form another trading range. We could be sitting in CRV for a month or two. Who knows? We'll have to see how the market develops and see how Bitcoin holds these levels. If we continue to be bullish with Bitcoin, I think that the price candle is going to develop a lot quicker on CRV. So yet to be determined on this one. Up only, or the market is wrong. Up only. I wish. That would be nice. Let's all hold hands and buy Doge, and we'll all be saved. So was everyone's cascading futures liquidation were for sale at the bottom, or people buy at huge discounts? So basically, when you're over leveraged, like if you're over a 10x leverage, you give yourself 10% volatility tolerance. So if the price moves down 10%, you start being forced to sell, and that adds more and more sell pressure, and you get that cascading effect. So if somebody, it happens all the time, you know, when people are over bullish, even when they think they're being responsible, there are people that think 25x is responsible, which is nuts to me. I'm a very low leverage swing trader, but you know, 25x, so they got 4% volatility tolerance. Bitcoin moves down 4%, they start applying selling pressure. Now they start taking out those that were at 20x. The 20x traders get liquidated. Now the 15x traders get liquidated. The 10x traders get liquidated. Now we're getting into like responsible futures contract leverage at like 5 to 10x. I say that, you know, a lot of people think that that's responsible. I trade like 1 or 2x, but anyways, you get all of these cascading liquidations, and they just force the price down. They slam the price down. And then the whales step in and they buy spot, and they start to remove the spot assets from the exchange, adding to the liquidity crisis that is beginning to build inside of this ecosystem. Another factor that I think that this market is not over. Whales are taking the Bitcoin off of the exchange. That is a very bullish sign, because they think that we're headed up. Okay, Binance just stopped withdrawals on a ton of assets today, and a lot of people were thinking, oh no, this looks bearish. Hell no, that is bullish, because Binance is freaking out. Binance is freaking out because they don't have the liquidity to match the volume, which is fundamentally bullish when we're talking in terms of supply and demand. If there is no supply, what do the traders have to do? They have to pay higher prices to get the assets that they're wanting to get into. If there's just a small amount of the asset, they have to bid the price up. I'm excited. Yeah, a little bit of a pullback, but I'm excited. Like and share. Thank you, Samrat. Appreciate that. I'm part of the free group and paid private group. Both are so valuable for all levels. Thank you. Appreciate that. Highly recommend it. You feel like you actually understand what's going on. And that's what we're trying to do. You know, we're trying to develop the skill set so that you have clarity. You know, there is so much noise in this ecosystem, and the noise is coming from those that don't know how to trade. The noise is coming from those that have made a lot of money by accident, and they're shouting at the rooftops, everybody join them in this party. And it's really damaging. And then when they lose all their money, they say the market's dead because they lost everything. The emotions of the trader are freaking insane, and they pollute the ecosystem with bad information. We look at the charts, we look at the price candles, we look at the volume, we understand the movements of the whale, because the whale is the chillest dude in the whole room. You know, follow the footsteps of the whale and you'll be successful. You get in the group with the links below. You can go to thecryptojungle.com. Do I have any thought on FET? So FET has moved up quite a bit. We'll take a look at FET. Was there any other requests that came in for that? Probably. Sorry guys, it's really hard for me to, it's getting harder for me to keep up with the chat. So I try to keep it fair, but a lot of these assets kind of like slip by. I'll take a look at FET, and then we'll look at Neo and Solana. Okay, so let's take a look at Fetch AI. It's been in markup. It's been doing very well. So we had a beautiful long accumulation, and we had a huge markup event. So I think that what's going to occur here is maybe a reaccumulation after decline. People made a lot of money in this rally. Okay, they made a lot of money. When people make a lot of money, there's a lot of available supply. People are willing to sell. You know, the top of the rally was nearly 2,000%, 1,700% from the top of the buyer's client, or sorry, the backup phase up into this rally. People made multiples on their money. They're going to be willing to sell, and we can see that sell pressure come in. So what we're waiting for is high volume. We need to see high volume come in and set a floor. Where likely we can see a floor is actually where we are right now. So tentatively, again, this all goes back to Bitcoin and whether Bitcoin behaves. Typically what you want to look for is those breakouts where we really start to heat up. So we were kind of sideways, we were kind of ascending at a 45, and then we broke out. Make note of that breakout and try and find the support level. So somewhere in this area, there is a chance that we form support. If we form support on this level, I think that we can reach some higher targets. But until we get that confirmation, there's no trade. There's no trade just yet. Okay, so that is Fetch AI. Kind of a head and shoulders structure. A lot of people looking at that, I'm sure. Let's take a look at Neo. Neo's been doing great. Neo is a spot hold for me, so I'm not too fussed on what's going on with Neo. We were buying Neo down at $40, $45. We've 2x'd our money, more than 2x'd our money. So, you know, we're just chilling. I'm just chilling. I don't know if other people, I think some of the other traders were in futures contracts, so they may have cut those loose already. But I'm holding Neo because Neo's kind of interesting, you know. As the space develops, there's always going to be this comparative battle, you know, like what's the next Ethereum killer? How many times have I heard that? Like, what is the next Ethereum killer? Neo has some very interesting tokenomics, whereas Ethereum is used for gas. Neo has gas. So to do any transaction on gas, you need to use Neo gas. So it's a little bit different. You know, the transactions are used with gas, and you receive gas by holding your Neo. Anywhere that you stake Neo, you receive gas. So for your ability, it's just a different way of doing things, but I like it because the Neo token itself is non-inflationary. It's a cap supply. It's not going to just inflate itself like Ethereum does. Ethereum inflates. It's an inflationary asset. So, you know, it's just kind of how it works. And it's a smart contract protocol. These are kind of the building blocks of the next phase of decentralized finance. We're building the DEXs, we're building the lending protocols, we're building all of the kind of instruments that have been offered in traditional finance in a peer-to-peer decentralized way. So these are the platforms to build the future. So there definitely is a battle going on, and we don't know what the winner will be. But while the battle is going on, we're in a bull market, and we can make a lot of money on these coins. So I'm holding Neo. A little bit of an SR flip here today. If this level holds, then we'll probably just continue to mark up. As far as targets, I get a lot of questions on targets. So for me, being a Wyckoff trader, I allow the market to tell me when the top is in, and that means I don't sell the top. I wait for confirmation of a change of trend. So until the trend changes, I don't have necessarily targets. If we start to really heat up and I make a lot of money on NEO, I'm going to harvest some of those profits so that I can better my life or maybe make other investments. But as far as me closing out the trade, there is no closing out of the trade until I get confirmation of a trend change. And that hasn't happened yet. So just chilling on NEO for now. Solana. On FTX. So huge demand come in on this one. Huge demand. Look at this volume signature. Now, typically when the volume is straight up like this, it's going to come in the form of supply. And there was a lot of supply that entered because it was a bit of a shakeout. But look at the buyback. Look at the demand tail on this asset. Look at this. This is insane. We got such a spring here. I know we didn't have much of a trading range, but this, in my eyes, is kind of what you'd be looking for what we call springs. So we've sprung out of this. We may have to come down and test the levels that we've reclaimed. You know, we've broken through this level of resistance. So maybe we come down and test somewhere around $28. But Solana's really heating up. There's a lot of hype being built right now with Solana. A lot of people are really, you know, getting bullish on Solana. And as that bullishness increases, we no longer need to do those tests. The tests they're shorter, they come quicker, and when we really start going parabolic, they don't happen at all. So we're gonna have to wait and see, but it's looking pretty bullish. This is not your invitation to go and buy Solana unless you're, you know, wanting to hold this asset long term and you really don't care about price. It's kind of an interesting protocol because they've figured out how to kind of attach time signatures to transactions, which is a way for you to kind of rectify any dispute on the blockchain. So you don't actually have to carry the whole ledger with you. Very fast output, and I think that with this protocol and Serum and FTT, we're going to see some pretty interesting decentralized exchanges be built. Nothing really there's nothing really revolutionary just yet, but I think that the bones are being built. What's the soul destination? I have one soul. Nice. Price prediction for ETH this bull run. So price predictions are kind of arbitrary in my opinion. Like I already mentioned, you know, I just allow the market to tell me when the trend has changed. If I am to guess, and if you're asking for a guess, which is nothing, you know, I think that we're going to be above $10,000 at some point with Ethereum. How soon that comes, and you know, I can't really say, but I think that Ethereum is kind of poised for some pretty interesting price appreciation. So if we go ahead and take a look at the Ethereum BTC chart, let's go Ethereum BTC on the 3-day. We are in this long-term reaccumulation. Okay, this is the performance of Ethereum when compared to Bitcoin. So more or less, it didn't matter if you were holding Bitcoin, and it didn't matter if you were holding Ethereum. For the most part, you know, they've kind of been performing well. It's been relatively flat, but we're beginning to break out of this. And I have a few targets. So I think the first target for something to pay attention to on the Ethereum Bitcoin pair is 0.05 BTC per Ethereum. And then the next target above that is going to be at 0.08 BTC per Ethereum. So it's nearly a tenth of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's at $100,000 at the time that it hits this level, we're looking at about an $8,000 to $10,000 Ethereum. So, you know, there's definitely higher price tags attached to this, but we don't form trading strategies with those types of targets in mind. It's nice to kind of look at the charts and make assumptions and make kind of, you know, just play with these numbers and try to get these fun USD values. But realistically, you got to take things level by level. Just analyze the strength, analyze the market as a whole. And when the signals tell you that the trend is changing, the trend is changing. So yeah, at targets anywhere, you know, I could easily see $8,000 to $10,000 per Ethereum. Yeah, we can take a look at Vechain. got about 20 minutes left before I got to jump into the virtual classroom. If you are interested in joining the virtual classroom, then follow the links down below, and we'll get you into VIP so that we can continue to talk about charts, strategy. And you know, if you enjoyed the content that I put on here for free, you're gonna really like what you have to pay for. Okay, let's take a look at the dollar here, USD. We're going pretty parabolic here. You know, this is certainly not something that you want to enter into. This is straight up. So when you're going straight up like that, let me kind of go to a lower time frame. Let's go to an intraday, like the 4 hour. Little bit of we have increasing spread. Okay, the volume is not necessarily showing us that we're done yet, but what I do see potentially occurring is a bit of a trading range develop. So we kind of have this up thrust action. You know, we could start to be range bound in this area for a while, which would be very healthy. You need to have these consolidations. We can't just keep going parabolic. If we keep going parabolic, the whales that hold large amounts of Vechain are going to sell. And you don't want them to sell because they're going to flood the market with supply and you stop making money. You actually start losing money. If you consolidate every step along the way, the whale is going to see that, and the whale is going to understand, hey, we're building a floor here. We can continue to higher levels. It's only when the market gets crazy and the whale starts being uncomfortable with the amount of price appreciation that they start to offload some of their tokens. They're buying it like a penny. They're buying it 2 pennies. Like, we have some serious whales in this ecosystem, so be careful. They hold a ton of tokens. When they're happy with their profits, they're going to start offloading some of that supply, and that's when the price heads down. If you had joined my private group a year ago, you would be a millionaire by now. Yeah, I think there's definitely a possibility of that because, you know, in the Wyckoff method, we do try to do these accumulation campaigns on the accumulations. And now that the market is developed, these accumulation structures are fewer and far between. So we're finding ourselves focusing a lot more on the reaccumulations. Just to kind of paint a picture as to what I'm talking about here. Let me go to the daily. So, you know, this is the accumulation range. This is where the smart money purchases and campaigns into assets. You know, this is where all the money's made. All the money is made down here. And there is a way for you to determine when demand is in control and when you can start to campaign into these things. You can trade alongside the whale. We often kind of make the comparison that we are like the remora. We are those little fish that suck onto the whales and just, you know, enjoy the ride. Retail comes in here. Everybody starts talking about Vechain here. Everybody starts talking about the use cases. They start talking about why it's such a valuable project, and they do all of that up here. And this is also where the whale begins to offload some of their shares. So, you know, if you follow this method, yes, it's boring. Yes, you have to wait a while, but we're kind of in reaccumulations right now. So next cycle, by all means, you know, people make money in bull markets. People get freaking rich in bear markets. And a lot of people don't really know what that means. And it's, you know, that's when you can get asset rich. And when you're asset rich and the market goes to the upside, you get dollar rich. But we are more so inside of these reaccumulations right now. Let me just draw a few of those. So we had a reaccumulation here. This was the last kind of backup reaccumulation. That was a long drawn out one. And then they started to shorten. So the reaccumulations get shorter and shorter and shorter as we go into markup. You have these. So we had, you know, a long one, then it got short, and then it got shorter, and then we just started going parabolic. So likely, you know, 25 cents is a big psychological level. So when you hit these psychological levels, the whales bought at 1 cent, they see it hit 25, they start to offload some of the supply. If you want to go and take a look at some of the wallets, go and look at some of the top Vechain wallets and see what the whales are doing. Are they buying? Are they selling? Are they offloading tokens, or are they buying more and putting it into these wallets? Because they don't keep stuff on the exchange. Most of the whales, they work with ledgers, they work with wallets. So that's great because you can actually track them and look at what they're doing. Go and check out my Doge video to kind of understand a little bit more about what I'm talking about. Links are on YouTube. Okay, catch up with the chat here. Are you buying any dips today, Blue? So I bought yesterday's dip. when everybody was panicking, I bought some positions, some spot positions in Serum. I bought a little bit of Neo, or no, I didn't buy Neo. I loaded up on Serum and some Ethereum. So I did buy the dip, and then today I'm watching the price structure develop, and I've decided to hedge a little bit of the volatility with a short contract against my BTC holding. So that's kind of all that I'm doing right now, because there's not enough information for me to continue, you know, any sort of trade. You know, I've got my hedge so that I can handle a little bit more downside volatility on Bitcoin. And then if it does move down, you know, I can move some of those profits and kind of hedge some of that volatility and move those into some of the altcoins, because I do think that the altcoins are really poised for a move. So yeah. What is a trend? How to determine the beginning of a trend? Yeah, that's a very good question. So a lot of my analysis, it always goes back to trend analysis. Bitcoin rules the space. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. Actually, let's go to the BLX. It's a clean chart. I don't need to change any of my drawings or anything. Just erase the drawings. So basically you have these macro moves. So in Wyckoff, what we're doing is, you know, you identify the sideways trading environment. There's basically, you know, this is the shape of the market cycles. It's not quite that simple, but that's basically the setup. You know, you go into accumulation, you begin your accumulation campaign while it's flat, then we start to mark up, and then you start to sell as we you know, get to those parabolic moves. Now in crypto, it's a little bit different. It doesn't quite look like that. In crypto, you get blow off tops. So, you know, that's the something that you can notice in the Wyckoff method with some of the PDFs that we have on my free server. But what a crypto market looks like is it's rounded and then it heats up and blows off. So you kind of do need to pick points along the way to sell into strength. But at the end of the day, usually the retracement doesn't go below the actual accumulation zone down here. So when we're looking at the actual trend to monitor if the market is still healthy, all we're doing is making sure that we have higher highs and higher lows. And that's what we have inside of Bitcoin right now. Oops. We have a high, we have a low. We have a higher high, we have a higher low. We have a higher high, we have a higher low. We have a higher high, and we still have a higher low. The trend is the rallies are starting to lose momentum, but overall we're still printing higher highs and higher lows. Now, if you want an easier way for you to kind of identify that, if you're new to trend analysis, you can actually use an indicator. So write this one down, everybody. This is the indicator, and it's called zigzag. Zigzag plus plus. Zigzag plus plus right here. Okay, and we can turn that on. Now it's a very noisy indicator, so I like to turn a lot of stuff off. Let me go to the settings inside of Zigzag, and you know, I don't like the lines on there. I don't like the background. I just leave the labels on. And here's the labels. You know, you got a lower low, higher low, higher, lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you're struggling with trend analysis, zigzag plus plus, man, get it drilled into your head so that you can see when the trend changes. I don't need these labels, and I try to keep my my charts really clean, but yeah, zigzag plus plus can be really a great indicator for the beginner investor. Okay, cool. So I got about 10 minutes before I have to wrap it up and head into the virtual classroom. So I'll just see if there's any more questions that came in here. Doge video was great. Yeah, go check out the Doge video. The composite operator, you know, the movements of the whale, you can track them. You know, we are in cryptocurrency. We can see the wallets. When we can see the wallets, we can see the trading activity. And when you narrow in on the whale, you know where the whale is, you can watch what the whale is doing. And if the whale is selling, you might want to consider selling, because they're selling a lot. They flood the market with supply. Thanks. I'm doing good. Thank you for your belief in my trades. All right. yeah, listen, yeah, just go check out the Doge video. It's really about market psychology and knowing that there are huge players that have a massive influence on this market. You hear it all the time. You hear it all the time. Oh, whales dumped. Oh, whales are doing this. Whales are doing that. But nobody actually knows what to do with them. You trade alongside them. I trade with the whales. And you can see it in the volume. You can see it in the price candles. And with cryptocurrency, you can see it with the wallet addresses as well. Let's just go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin real quick, see how things are developing. It looks like we're kind of we're spending a lot of time in this area, so we could have a lot of support. Well, everyone is suffering. There is not everybody is suffering. You know, I know one trader that made a half a Bitcoin on this move. So not everybody's suffering. You know, it's about learning how to hedge your bets and understand risk management. If you're always long all the time and you don't kind of manage your portfolio as a whole, then yeah, you're suffering because you're fully exposed to altcoins and they dumped. But there is method to the madness here. So yeah, we're holding nice at this level right here. We're holding nice at this level. See how the RSI is doing. No divergence going to print on the RSI, but that's okay. We're holding here. My short is still in play. Yeah, gain or lose support. Very good question. We'll actually narrow in on the small time frames here on this one localized move. You have to look at kind of the support slash resistance flips. So usually there's like a few notes that you need to kind of make, or a few areas that you need to make note of. So we have a downside move, okay? You reach what's called the seller's climax, okay? The seller's climax will rally. That rally is called the automatic rally. Then you will come down for a secondary test. If the secondary test is at or above the seller's climax, that's tentatively good, and it's showing you that we are getting prepared to be range bound. And when we're range bound, we can then determine the strength or weakness, if there's going to be a continuation to the downside or a reversal to the upside. So as you can see, I've noted this area here with this horizontal box. So that's making note of the resistance. So we rallied into that. We tried to get up. It was a weak rally. Then we kind of broke through it. We tested it again, tested it one more time, and then it failed. So that failure is where we stand right now. And this is on the smaller time frames. We actually have the same sort of thing occurring on the higher time frames. Let me just get rid of some of these drawings. And let's go to, let's say, the 1 hour. So we had this level of support that went way back here. So, you know, we tried to overtake it. We got rejected. We got rejected. We got rejected. Then we broke out. We tried to test it. We tried to test it again, and we lost the support. As soon as you lose support, it's violent. You know, we spent all this energy trying to get above this level that was set at the buyer's climax at the beginning of the consolidation. We spent a lot of energy trying to get above it, and then when we failed, it was brutal. You know, when these support levels fail, they're usually quite aggressive, and it's because the traders are putting their stop losses below support. And you know, when those stops get triggered, they add sell pressure, and you get that cascading effect, and then the people that are over leveraged get liquidated, and you have these kind of, you know, triggered events, these flash crashes that occur. Not really a flash crash, but these they feel like a flash crash because they happen so quickly. But yeah, man, for a long time I just bought coins on fundamentals, did get my profits, but could be much more. Trying to learn more about the tactic analysis. Gonna watch and see what you're doing. Thanks for the follow, man, appreciate it. Yeah, so basically fundamentals work very well in a bull market, and the reason for that is the composite operator has already taken their position and they're not selling. If you were around in 2017, you saw many bullish stories come out during the bear market, and what happened? It dumped. So fundamentals alone don't carry your assets into a profitable, you know, it doesn't send them into markup. There are technical factors as well, and the technical factors are the available supply. So the TA that I do focuses on the available supply. If we can identify how much supply is available in the ecosystem, we don't need to spend so much time on the demand. The fundamentals are demand. You need to have both. So when the fundamentals are pumping and everybody's getting excited, the demand outweighs supply, the result is markup. And in a bear market, the opposite is true. You know, the demand, nobody cares, or there's just too much supply for that demand to be able to absorb the supply. So you have marked down. It's just how it works. I wish we could just invest in stuff and it would go up linearly, but that's not how humans work. Humans are scared and humans are greedy, and that's not going to change. This method was actually thought of in the early 1920s by Richard D. Wyckoff. He was a stock operator back in the original stock market boom. And he developed this method so that he could capitalize on what the big players were doing and how they were manipulating the market. And we have a ton of manipulation in this space because this is the new boom. This is the new stock market that we're building, essentially. You know, the stock market that we have today almost goes up linearly. If we take a look at the S&P 500, like, it just goes up linearly. No, that's on not on crypto. Let's go stock. And let's go to the daily. Like, it's rallying, but like it just kind of goes up in a straight line. There are dips, there are corrections, and you hear about them because people freak out. But for the most part, it's just straight. It goes straight. And it's because these markets are manipulated so that people don't lose money and that the rich keep getting richer, and people, there's so much trading going on in traditional finance. It's hard to kind of get an honest market. With cryptocurrency, I feel as though we have a free market, a truly free market. And what comes with that are bad actors, bad players, and people wanting to steal your money. But along with that as well comes innovation and you know, true value appreciation and some of these new ideas that we're trying to put a price tag on. So it's pretty interesting what's going on with the space, and it's really kind of, it shows a lot about how powerful this method is, the Wyckoff method is, and how applicable it is to cryptocurrency markets as opposed to what it was back in the day with the original stock market boom. So yeah, pretty interesting. So I gotta wrap it up there. Okay, one more question here. Blue the Bear, are you seeing BTC is matching the Wyckoff distribution on the 1 day? So I don't call things too early. Bitcoin is still in an uptrend. When you take a look at the volume is consolidating, the volume is tightening, there's less volume coming in, and the price spread is contracting as well. Those are characteristics of accumulation. Those are not characteristics of distribution. Bitcoin, it's going to be pretty obvious. You know, if you weren't here in 2017, you're not going to know what a blow off top looks like, but it's going to be pretty clear to me what the blow off top looks like, and we're not there yet. We're not at a top, in my opinion. You know, we can speculate that things may be different, but if anything, we have more whales now than we did before. So I expect just more of the same, and we're not there yet. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's all the time I have for today. If you guys enjoyed this content, please leave it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And if there are any projects that you want me to take a look at, leave them in the comments section down below. And until next time, please trade safe. It's the jungle out there. Peace.